In a quest for new habitable planets, the Life Foundation, a bioengineering corporation, sends a probe into space. The probe discovers a comet teeming with symbiotic life forms and brings back 4 samples to Earth. However, one of the symbiotes escapes during transport and causes the ship to crash in Malaysia. While search teams fail to find the creature, one of the astronauts aboard the spacecraft surprisingly survives the crash. He is taken to an ambulance, but as he is being transported, the symbiote takes control of his body, causing a crash. It then hijacks the body of a nurse and heads toward the Life Foundation, hungry for more hosts. Meanwhile, the Life Foundation secures the other 3 symbiotes and transports them to their research facility in San Francisco. Carlton Drake, Riz Ahmed, the brilliant but morally dubious CEO of the Life Foundation, is experimenting on the symbiotes, learning that they cannot survive without compatible human hosts. The symbiosis process is dangerous, as most humans reject the symbiotes, leading to death. Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, an investigative journalist, uncovers classified documents that reveal Drake's unethical human trials. The documents are in the possession of Eddie's fiancée, Anne Wying, Michelle Williams, a lawyer working on a lawsuit against Drake's company. After confronting Drake with accusations of using vulnerable populations for dangerous drug tests, Eddie and Anne both lose their jobs, and Anne ends their relationship. Eddie, now disgraced, struggles with his new life. He frequents a convenience store owned by Mrs. Chen, Peggy Liu, where he finds some support, despite his personal and professional failures. 6 months later, Drake is closer to achieving successful symbiosis between the alien life forms and humans. His scientist, Doris Girth, Jenny Slate, warns him that the experiments are too dangerous, as it may take many failed attempts and deaths before a perfect match is found. Despite her concerns, Drake pushes forward, aiming to use the symbiotes to help humans survive in space, just as the symbiotes can endure hostile environments. Eddie is approached by Skirth, who wants to help him expose Drake's horrific experiments. She reveals that the Life Foundation's space probe brought back the alien symbiotes, and they have been experimenting on them ever since. Skirth helps Eddie break into the Life Foundation facility to find evidence. While searching, Eddie discovers that a homeless woman, Maria Melora Walters, has become one of Drake's test subjects. He tries to rescue her, but she attacks him, and the symbiote inside her transfers into Eddie's body, killing her in the process. As Eddie escapes, he experiences strange symptoms, intense hunger, and bizarre cravings, like eating garbage and drinking from a toilet. He turns to Anne for help, and her new boyfriend, Dr. Dan Lewis, Reed Scott, examines him and discovers the symbiote living inside Eddie's body. Meanwhile, Drake executes Skirth for betraying him, exposing her to one of the remaining symbiotes, which kills her. Drake sends mercenaries after Eddie to retrieve the symbiote. However, the symbiote, now bonded with Eddie, manifests as a monstrous creature and helps Eddie fight off the attackers. The symbiote, which introduces itself as Venom, explains that it is part of a species that invades new worlds by bonding with inhabitants and consuming them. Venom offers Eddie power and immortality in exchange for helping the symbiotes take over Earth. Eddie begins to enjoy the new abilities Venom grants him, including superhuman strength and agility. Eddie decides to confront Drake and expose his crimes. As he infiltrates his old workplace to hand over the evidence, Eddie is surrounded by SWAT officers and transforms into Venom to escape. Anne witnesses this transformation and takes Eddie to Dr. Dan's office, where they learn that the symbiote is slowly killing Eddie by rotting his internal organs. However, Venom claims this is part of the symbiosis process and can be healed. With the help of an MRI machine, they temporarily weaken the symbiote, allowing Eddie to separate from it. Soon after, Eddie is captured by Drake's forces. At the same time, the 4th symbiote, Riot, makes its way from Malaysia to San Francisco, transferring from host to host until it bonds with Carlton Drake. Riot plans to take off in a Life Foundation spacecraft, collect the remaining symbiotes, and bring them to Earth. Anne reluctantly bonds with Venom in order to help Eddie escape, and when they reunite, Eddie and Venom are determined to stop Riot and Drake. In a final showdown, Venom helps Eddie destroy the spacecraft that Drake plans to use for his mission, causing it to explode and killing both Riot and Drake. Although it seems that Eddie has permanently separated from Venom after the explosion, the two remain secretly bonded. Eddie and Venom join forces to protect the city by taking down criminals. In the final scenes, Eddie returns to his journalism career, while in a mid-credits sequence, he is invited to interview the incarcerated serial killer Cletus Cassidy, Woody Harrelson. Cassidy promises carnage if he ever escapes, setting up a potential sequel.